welcome to our channel. Tonight, we present The Skin Farmer, a tale that will make you question the true cost of organic farming. Remember, some rules are set for a reason. Let's begin. I don't remember what the job listing said exactly. Something about organic cultivation, room and board, and quiet surroundings. That last part sold me. Quiet. After everything that happened back in Detroit, after I walked out on my job, my lease, and a past I didn't want to explain, I was ready to disappear. I told myself it was just temporary. A way to start over. The ad didn't even list a number. Just AP. Oh. Box and a bus ticket waiting for me at the Greyhound station. The envelope had no return address. Just a note. Come alone. No phones. 2 weeks minimum. I stepped off the bus into the thick heat of late summer. There was no town sign, no depot. Just a gravel road and a faded pickup truck parked by the tree line. The driver didn't speak when I got in. He wasn't the farmer. Just a guy with one glass eye and a face like a sun-dried peach. He dropped me off an hour later and turned right back around. I never saw him again. The farm wasn't much to look at. A couple of wooden buildings with sagging roofs. A barn. A long row of vegetable patches. And beyond that, a cornfield stretching like a golden sea into the trees. No fences. No animals. No sounds but the wind. The farmhouse door creaked open, and she stepped out, tall, maybe in her 60s, with dark braids coiled tight against her head and arms wrapped in fabric despite the heat. Her voice was soft, but it carried.
You came for work. Yes?
I nodded.
You read the rules?
I didn't get any rules yet. She stared at me, then reached into her apron and handed me a folded piece of yellowed paper. I'll never forget what it said. Wake at dawn. Work until dusk. Do not enter the corn after sunset. Do not speak to anything in the mirror after midnight. Do not accept gifts from the earth. Never touch the scarecrow. Not even if it falls. Is this a joke? I asked, half smiling. She didn't answer. Do you get a lot of people here?
Enough.
Do they last long? She smiled with her eyes, but not her mouth.
No one lasts forever.
The scarecrow was already watching me. I didn't see it at first. It stood at the far edge of the field, arms stretched on a wooden crossbeam, its head cocked just slightly to one side. It wore a tattered plaid shirt and denim overalls. No hat, no straw, no buttons, just an old burlap sack pulled tight over a round, too smooth head. Its skin looked like leather, worn thin and sun-cracked. The woman, she said her name was Emma, led me to a small cabin behind the main house, one room. A cot. A basin. No mirror.
You'll eat with me in the mornings. Don't go looking for anything that isn't offered, she said, and if you hear things at night, stay inside.
I slept badly that first night. The walls breathed with heat. The wind moaned low across the field like a whisper in an empty church. At one point, I woke up and looked out the window. The scarecrow was gone. The days bled together after that. Wake at dawn. Pull weeds. Carry water. Cut vegetables. Sleep. It was honest work, but something about the place felt off. The soil was too dark. Rich and thick like black clay, the vegetables grew fast. Too fast. I swore the corn stalks gained an inch every day. I saw Emma less and less. She'd leave a basket of food outside my door each morning: bread, potatoes, boiled eggs, no meat. Never any meat. Sometimes I'd see her out by the edge of the field, standing by the Scarecrow, whispering. I watched through my cabin window. She'd reach out, almost like she was stroking its arm, then walk back slowly, her shoulders tight. It always stood still after that. Then the nights got louder, scratching under the floorboards, heavy steps in the corn after midnight. Once, I heard breathing just outside the door. When I opened it, nothing, but the next morning, a small stone sat on my doorstep. Smooth, white, shaped like a human tooth. I didn't touch it. I just kicked it into the grass. By the end of the first week, I'd stopped asking questions. I kept my head down. I worked, but every so often, I'd look up, and the Scarecrow would be facing a different direction. One afternoon, while trimming squash near the field's edge, I got too close. I swear, I didn't mean to. I didn't even realize how near I'd wandered until I looked up and saw it, right in front of me. The Scarecrow, its head tilted downward, arms still wide. There were holes in the sack, dark eye sockets, and a slit of a mouth. I swear it hadn't been there 10 minutes earlier, but there it was, watching me. I dropped my shears and stepped back. The wind picked up. The sack shifted. I didn't wait. I ran back to my cabin, locked the door, and didn't come out till morning. I stopped working near the field after that. I figured if I didn't go near it, I wouldn't have to think about that thing watching me. I focused on the herb beds near the farmhouse, the potatoes in the root patch, the compost pile. It didn't help. One morning, I stepped out to find the basket of food missing. In its place, resting gently on the wooden steps, was something else, a bundle of corn silk, braided like a noose. I left it there. Didn't say a word to Emma. That night, I heard something tapping on the window. 3 slow taps, then nothing. The next day, the Scarecrow had turned again. Now it faced my cabin directly. Its arms hung lower than before, like they had sagged overnight, like they were heavier. I started to hear things in the wind. My name, not loud, not even clear, but enough, a whisper drawn out through rows of corn that rustled without a breeze. Sometimes I caught movement out of the corner of my eye, tall, slow figures walking just past the edge of sight. I asked Emma about it once. Has anyone else worked here lately? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Just stirred the kettle, then, softly.
You're the only one this season.
This season. She looked at me then. Her eyes were glassy.
Don't break the rules,
she said. Then she handed me a plate of boiled greens and left the room. By the 10th day, I had lost track of time. I barely ate. I barely slept. The dreams came hard and deep. In them, I stood in the middle of the corn, unable to move. My arms were outstretched, my hands pierced by nails. Crows landed on my shoulders. They pecked, but I couldn't scream. My mouth had no tongue, just stuffing. I'd wake up sweating, clawing at my chest, expecting to find stitches. Then came the storm. It rolled in fast, a black boil on the horizon that swallowed the sun. The wind hit like a wave, and the trees snapped like bones. Emma didn't come out. Her house stayed dark. The rain fell sideways. I shut my cabin windows and sat in the dark. And then I saw it. Through the rain-smeared glass, the Scarecrow was down. It lay crumpled in the mud at the edge of the cornfield. A wind gust had knocked the post loose, or maybe something else had. Its head lay twisted at an odd angle, the sack torn, revealing. I didn't mean to go outside. I don't even remember opening the door. All I know is I was standing over it, rain in my eyes, my hand reaching out. The skin wasn't burlap. It was human. Sun-darkened, dried, pulled tight over a smooth, skull-shaped mold. But where the neck met the collar, there were seams, stitched with sinew, not thread. I should have walked away. I should have listened, but something about it felt wrong, not just disturbing, wrong in the way a broken clock is wrong, because it hints at a world behind the gears that no longer makes sense. I reached out. My hand brushed the shoulder. The moment I touched it, something shuddered through my chest. Not pain. Not quite. A pull. Like something inside me was being gently unzipped. I dropped it, staggered back, ran to the cabin, slammed the door. My fingers tingled all night. The skin where I'd touched it, it didn't look burned. It looked stretched. The next morning, I woke up and couldn't feel my left thumb. It looked waxy, slightly translucent, like candle fat. I didn't tell Emma. She didn't ask. That day, the crops around my cabin began growing twice as fast. The carrots were the size of wine bottles. The corn stalks leaned inward as if listening. The air grew heavier, hotter. The soil around my boots clung tighter each time I walked. I swear I heard it breathe. And the Scarecrow was back up, standing straight again, but different. Its left arm now hung lower. Its chest was broader. The shirt it wore looked more like mine than before. That night, my skin peeled, a thin sheet, like sunburn, except the flesh underneath wasn't red. It was smooth, pale, too smooth. I dreamed I was underground, buried, but I could see. Roots grew through me, pulled at my ribs. My mouth was full of soil, and above me, the Scarecrow watched, its sack face slowly tearing open to reveal a mirror beneath. I tried to scream, but all that came out was the rustle of corn leaves. I stopped sleeping. Every time I shut my eyes, I'd find myself back in the field, not as a worker, as it, tied to the post, unable to move as the sun baked me dry and the worms writhed inside my feet. In the dream, someone was always watching, not Emma, someone else, someone taller. By the 14th day, my skin felt too tight, like it didn't belong to me. Or maybe it belonged to me too much, clung to me with purpose, with memory. I noticed things. My hands left prints in the dirt that stayed for hours, like the earth was memorizing me. Flies didn't land on me anymore. Birds didn't sing near me. The crows circled wide arcs around the field. And Emma, she started smiling more.
You're adjusting,
she said one night, ladling out a thick, gray stew.
Most don't get this far.
I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't have the strength. By then, my reflection had changed. In the window, I saw someone else, someone taller. My skin had a yellowed sheen, like lacquered leather. In my eyes, something inside them had sunk back, as if there was too much space behind the face. That night, the wind screamed through the trees. Not howled, screamed, like 1,000 mouths pressed against the sky. The next morning, the Scarecrow wore my shirt, the one I'd arrived in, stained, frayed at the cuffs, unmistakably mine. And its face, the sack had torn at the mouth. Inside, where a jaw should be, I saw something glisten, not teeth, roots. I confronted Emma. "What is this place?" I demanded. My voice cracked, splintered like dry bark. She looked up from her seat near the hearth, where she'd been stitching a bundle of dried skin.
"This land doesn't give,"
she said.
"Not by itself."
She tied off the thread.
"But with the right sacrifice, it returns."
I backed away. "What are you doing to me?" She stood.
"The soil remembers, boy. It knows hunger, it needs shape, it needs skin."
I ran, out the cabin, past the dying trees, through the rows of corn that now seemed to whisper with every step. But the field didn't let me go far. Somewhere between the sunflowers and the gourd patch, the ground opened, not physically, psychically, like the earth blinked around me. The sky went dark, and I was elsewhere. Not in space, in time. I stood over the field as it had been 100 years ago. I saw men, skinny, hollow-eyed, hoeing the land with bleeding hands. I saw women singing dead songs, and I saw one of them stumble, fall face first into the mud. They left him there, didn't help. And the corn around him grew taller. When I blinked again, the years passed, the field changed, workers came and went, each one younger, healthier, and each one left something behind. Their skin, worn like a second uniform by that thing on the post, each layer stretching tighter, until it was me. I screamed, but the vision clung to my tongue like ash. My voice had changed, deeper, drier. I stumbled back to the cabin, breathing hard. The wind didn't move. The leaves didn't rustle. It was waiting. That night, I cut into my arm, not out of desperation, out of curiosity. No blood came out, just sap. Golden, thick, sweet-smelling. It dripped onto the floor, and from it grew a tiny sprout. The ground beneath my feet was no longer floorboards, it was soil. I had become part of it. Emma visited me the next morning, but she didn't bring food. Instead, she carried a sack, empty, worn, and she handed it to me.
"You've earned it,"
she said. Her voice was soft, kind, even. What am I supposed to do with this? My voice was cracking like dry leaves now.
"Take your place."
I wanted to protest, to shout, to run. But my body had already turned, walking itself toward the post. I didn't feel fear anymore, only purpose, as though I had always been meant for this. I climbed the mound of earth, faced the endless rows, tied the sack over my head. And I stood still. The wind picked up, the crops leaned toward me, and somewhere beneath the soil, I felt them. The others, the ones who came before, their roots entwined with mine, their skins long harvested, their memories pressed into mulch. Now it was my turn. Not to resist, not to escape, but to grow. Spring came early that year, or maybe it had always been early. Time had loosened its grip on me, unraveling in soft threads like old rope. I stood, arms outstretched, face hidden beneath the sackcloth. Rain slicked my back, but I didn't shiver. Wind howled across the valley, but I didn't flinch. I didn't need to. Because I wasn't guarding the crops. I was the crops. The roots of the land stretched up into my legs, winding like veins. The stalks bowed when I watched them. The birds stopped calling when I turned my head. Somewhere behind me, Emma would be setting the table. She'd sit with her back to the window, sipping her tea, smiling as the earth worked its magic. The magic that I sustained. I had questions, of course. Even now, in the stillness, I had questions. What made the soil so hungry? What ancient sin had turned it greedy for flesh, for shape, for skin? But questions don't matter to the soil, only the cycle does. And now, I understood that. One day, Emma brought someone new to the field. He looked young, lost, just like I had. I couldn't speak, of course, not anymore, but I watched. He walked the rows with stiff arms and heavy boots. He avoided my gaze. He saw the sack over my face, the way my limbs didn't sway in the breeze, how I stood too still, too aware, and I saw the fear begin to grow behind his eyes. Good. The first lesson had begun. Later, he would ask about me, and Emma would shrug.
That Scarecrow's been here since I was a girl.
She'd say.
Never seen one work so well. Not even the crows come near.
He wouldn't know what to do with that, just like I hadn't. But he'd learn. He'd learn when his hands started cracking, when his dreams filled with whispering dirt, when he bled sap and tasted rot at the back of his throat. He'd learn when the wind started speaking to him. And when he woke up with skin that wasn't quite his anymore, he'd understand. That's when I'd leave. Not in body, just in purpose. The post would be his, the soil would drink him in. And I would step down. Feel my limbs loosen, my body soften. I would walk into the woods, shedding pieces of myself with every step, petals of flesh, threads of memory, until I was nothing more than a wisp carried on the wind. Like all the others. You might be thinking I deserved it, for not asking more questions, for ignoring the rules, for touching what should never be touched. Maybe I did. But that's the thing about curses. They don't care what you deserve. Only what you bring. And I brought skin. Thank you for watching The Skin Farmer. If this story sent chills down your spine, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that haunt the soul. What would you do if faced with such a terrifying choice? Let us know in the comments below.